Good day, everyone. For this lecture video, we're going to talk about the first lesson we have for the midterm period, and that will be the communication process. So, what I strongly suggest that while watching this video, since I can't open up the presentation to you, okay, and that's why I send it up on a different file so that while listening to this lecture video, we can open simultaneously the lecture I sent you so that altogether you can both read and listen to it at the same time so that you can understand the this lesson that I'm about to share. Okay, so for this first lesson, we're going to talk about the communication process, and that for the learning objectives, we have at the end of this module, we're expected to increase your knowledge in communication, including its processes and principles, and then heighten your sense of awareness on communication ethics, resulting in consensus and respectful interactions. Lastly, is to apply the gained knowledge in communication processes, principles, and ethics through class exercises. Because right after this lesson, I can readily give you and provide you what will be your midterm presentation or midterm project for the first half of the semester. So, to begin with, let's talk about the importance of communication. Well, first of all, based on the definition we have here, communication is a human act of sending and receiving messages where interpretations are normally constructed in the process, both of which can be verbal or non-verbal, and communication can be done online or like this offline. So, in relation with our subject or course subject, what is purposive communication? Well, it is an intentional communication that happens within the boundaries of a specific context. Now, remember this word, okay, context. Okay, so what do we mean when we say context? So the definition is there on the lesson. Okay, can you please verify that? It is the working experience or situation. I repeat, the key word to remember is that about context, it is the working experience or situation. Okay, sa Tagalog, if I may explain this, ang ibig sabihin ng context is yung karanasan o ano yung nararanasan no ng isang taong nagsasalita o involved sa isang usapin no where communication or a dialogue is in process. So what are the things that we need to consider about context? Well, communication happens in a specific context like the setting or environment. When we say setting or environment, nasa ang lugar. So on what place are you involved with the communication process? A good example about this is here in school. Okay, so this is what we call a communication setting. It is a context wherein you are in a certain place and communication is involved in the process. No? So, madaling salita, pag nasa eskwela ka o nasa paaralan ka, yung way ng pakikipagsalita o pakikipag-usap mo is not the same when you are at home. Okay, because you are on a different environment. Tama? Okay, so yun ang ibig sabihin ng inilalagay mo yung sarili mo sa yung pananalita mo, yung sarili mo sa lugar kung saan ka nandoon. Okay? Another thing that works with context is the social relation. So, ito naman yung involvement mo doon sa mga tao na nasa paligid mo. So, what are your relationships with the people around you where communication is happening? A good example about that is your relationship with your classmates. Pag nasa school ka, the kind of relationship that you have is with your classmates, with your teachers, and with the other personnel of the school. So, yun yung social relations mo. Pag nasa bahay ka naman, you experience a different type of relationship because, you are with your family, your mother, your father, your siblings, and the rest of your relatives. So, magkaiba yung way o yung dating ng pananalita mo sa kanila kumpara paano ka magsalita sa school. Okay? And then the third is yung scenes. Sa Tagalog, mas magandang itong ipaliwanag na tawagin natin eksena. So what kind of communication are you going to enunciate, okay, on certain scenes? Magbigay tayo ng halimbawa. Say for example, umattend ka ng party o ng debut at kinuha ka halimbawa sa mga kababaihan, kinuha ka bilang isa sa mga 18 candles. O di ba? And normally ano yung binibigay mo dun sa celebrant? Di ba nagsasalita ka ng wish, you know, you make a wish. Of course, given the fact that it is a formal, not simply a formal, but it's a grand occasion wherein may mga guests. At take note na hindi lang basta mga kaklase nyo o kaibigan nyo ang mga guests dun sa event na yon. May mga relatives dun. Malay natin kung yung kamag-anak niya, meron dong engineer, meron dong abogado, meron dong baka yung lolo dun, kapitan ng barangay. So what I'm trying to say is, the kind of communication you're going to portray also depends on the eksena, dun sa scene, kung saan ka nandoon na magsasalita. Siyempre, hindi ka parang magboboses doon na, you know, na parang casual na casual. Kumbaga, ilalagay mo din dun sa okasyon, yun, ibig sabihin sa okasyon, at sa lugar kung saan ikaw ay dapat magsalita. O, di ba? So, yun ibig sabihin natin ng context. Sa palengke, pag ikaw ay namamalengke, iba din yung eksena. Ang mga kausap mo tindera, tumatawad ka, nagtatanong ka ng presyo, tinatanong mo yung condition ng mga product, iba yung eksena, iba din yung tono, iba din yung delivery ng pananalita na ipinapakita mo depending on that kind of scene. So that is how context is very important on the manner in which how we deliver our communication. And then lastly is culture. Okay, part of the working context that we need to consider is the culture that is involved. Because like I said, you will be talking, you will be engaging communication with other people from other countries. And of course, part of the thing that you need to consider is yung kultura. What is the culture of the people or the person whom you're going to talk to that you need to be aware of, so that you will not come up with misunderstanding or miscommunication. Because remember, having to communicate with different cultures may involve you to a different way of interpreting and understanding the way you talk or the way you speak. Okay, so importante na alam mo din yung kultura sa likod ng pananalita so as to avoid misunderstanding and for you to receive a more favorable response coming from your audience. Okay, so contexts are vital considerations in our communication act since they affect the process of sending and receiving of messages. Communication, therefore, must be suitable to the specific context for it to become intentional or purposive. And to conclude this, purposive communication, yung subject natin, is therefore a kind of communication that is applied in a specific setting or environment together with the scene, social relations, and culture. So, that is how important yung ibinigay ko halimbawa sa inyo ng mga responses, mga basic responses na sinasabi kong i-apply ninyo as a mandate coming from our department to show you, to give you a better perspective of how you should communicate within the department facing the different personnels of our institution. Yun kasi talaga pang eskwela yan eh. Kaya tinuro ko yun sa inyo. And that is, you have to follow that. Because sabi ko nga, it is only you above all other people in the campus can be able to exercise and demonstrate that kind of communication using the English language, within the academic setting, within the premises of the school. So there you go. Now, the second thing that we need to work on, second lesson, is about a review on the communication process. So for this topic, it is better that you turn on the slide, the presentation, dun sa diagram na nilagay ko dyan. Kasi review lang naman to, you're very familiar with this already about what the communication process is. Kaya nga lang, dapat i-refresh natin to so that you'll know exactly how are you supposed to, interact and understand now kung anong nai-involve at saan kalulugar in the communication process. So let's go with the diagram. So in the communication process, remember, my dear students, there are two phases involved. The first one is what we call the transmission phase, and the second one is what we call the feedback phase. So under the transmission phase, it involves the sender going to the receiver. So sender going to the receiver. Whereas the feedback phase is from the receiver going back to the sender. So madaling tandaan ha. So again, what are the two phases involved in the communication process? Number one is the transmission phase, that is from sender to receiver, and the feedback phase from receiver back to sender. So the entire cycle involves this two phases. So to deal with, let's talk about first yung transmission phase. Okay, sa transmission phase, you are the sender, meaning you are the source of information. Ikaw ang nagbibigay ng information. You send a message, okay, you encode it either by writing, scribbling, sending maybe an email perhaps, or maybe yun nga, spoken conversation. That is, you are the sender. Okay, you can choose any medium you want. Ngayon, you send a message, tapos, okay, it will be decoded by the receiver. So remember this, under the decoding process, dalawa din ang process na involved. Okay? So the first process involves understanding and interpreting. So I repeat, under the decoding process, there are two things involved. Decoding process, yun yung paghihimay ng impormasyon doon sa information or message na natanggap. Again, decoding process involves understanding, and the second one is interpreting. Ito yung ginagawa ng receiver. So kapag receiver ka, kailangan yung dalawang yan gumagana. So that, as the receiver, you can provide yung second phase, the feedback, or what we call the response. So, from being the receiver, ikaw na ngayon ang magiging sender. Kasi nga, natanggap mo na yung mensahe, and then if the other person on the other line expects a response or a reply, dun ngayon papasok si feedback phase. So, ganun pa din ang process. Yun nga lang, mag-iiba na. Yung kaninang receiver now will become the sender. Ikaw ngayon magpapadala ng message o ng feedback through a process. You can use any channels you want, and then ang sender kanina, siya naman ang magiging receiver, because that person will be the one to decode kung ano man yung naging reply or response mula dun sa tumanggap ng message kanina. So like I said, that is the cycle or the process involved in the communication. But if I may add just one important detail dyan sa diagram na yan, titingnan nyo mabuti, yan ay yung presence ng entity na nasa gitna. At ano po yung nasa gitna na yan? Ayan, nakikita ninyo. Okay, the presence of noise. Okay, in Filipino, we call it ingay. Itong entity na to is something that we do not control or we cannot control in the communication process. Yung ingay laging nandyan. Okay, would you believe maiintindihan nyo ba ako o ma-appreciate nyo ako ngayon na nagle-lecture sa inyo through this video if I have a very noisy background? O kung mapapansin ninyo, di ba, tahimik, tranquil. I'm in my sister's house dito sa May Muson, subdivision kasi to, and it's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon while I'm doing this, at walang ingay, so tranquil. Kasi nga, kailangan kong pumili ng lugar kung saan alam ko mas less ang ingay, mas less ang tendency ng ingay, so that the communication process will be smooth flowing. So, sa madaling salita, okay, hindi ang noise ang nag-a-adjust sa communication process. Because andyan siya lagi siyang present, lalabas siya at lalabas kapag wala na, hindi mo inaasahan. Okay? Kaya sino ang nag-a-adjust? Ang nag-a-adjust po ay yung speaker, hindi yung noise. Hindi naman tatahimik ng kusa yun, hindi mo pagsasabihan siyempre. So bilang speaker, bilang receiver, kayo ang mag-a-adjust sa ingay. Kayo ang mag-a-adjust sa kung paano kayo much better na mapapakinggan, maiintindihan kung sino man ang recipient ng inyong message, kung alam nyo paano mag-adjust even if there is the presence of noise around you. Okay? So going back to the details of the parts of the communication process, sabi ko nga, the sender is the source of the idea. So kapag sender ka, ikaw may control at command ng language kung anong gagamitin. At ang pinaka-importante sa lahat is that whenever you're the sender, okay, you must be a credible source of information. Okay, I repeat, credible source of information. So what does that mean? When you say credible source of information, since you are the sender, okay, your information must be founded in truth, in facts. No, hindi ka pwedeng gumawa ng kwento, gumawa ng kahit anong klase ng misinformation because maraming tao ang maapekto, maraming tao madadamay. No? So, if you are going to be the sender, you must be credible o kumbaga maaasahan. Okay, for the channels, sabi ko nga, ito yung paraan kung paano ka makikipag-usap. It employs the manner of how you're going to send the message. The choice of channel may depend on availability, practicality, and impact on the receiver. So how does this work? Okay, halimbawa, sa school, okay, nagpasa ng project, tapos late kang nagpasa. Sa tingin mo, ano ang pinakamagandang channel or way of communication para sabihin mo kay Mr. Suryaw na, Sir, pwede ba ako magpasa ng project kahit late? Okay? So tama ba na A, mag-send ka ng text sa akin? B, mag-PPM ka? C, tatawag ka sa akin sa cellphone? Or D, kakausapin mo ako ng personal? So alin din sa apat? Sa tingin mo ang pinakamagandang channel o paraan ng pakikipag-usap para makakuha ka ng favorable result or response coming from your situation. Mag-text, mag-PM, kausapin ako sa phone, tawagan ako, or kausapin ako ng personal. Okay, para sa mga nagsabi ng kausapin ng personal, yung teacher, dahil nakikiusap ka kung pwede magpasa ng late na project, then I would say, yun ang pinakatamang sagot. Diba? Huwag tayong feeling close na dadaanin mo lang sa text, sa PM na parang akala mo di ba? Parang hindi ikaw yung nagkulang. So, kaya nga sinasabi natin, nilalagay natin sa lugar. This is the very reason why we're studying purposive communication. We try to learn the psychology of the communication. So, kung alam mo kung ano yung tama at makakabuti at yung alam mo na mas magiging effective para makakuha ka ng favorable response, yun ang ginagamit mo. Okay, that's why channels depend on availability, practicality, or impact on the receiver. Pero syempre, kung halimbawa na-aksidente ka, wag naman sana, di ba? Knock on the glass. Syempre, kung na-aksidente ka, nasa ospital ka, hindi mo ako pwedeng kausapin ng personal. Okay? Ipapaalam mo muna sa akin yung kalagayan mo, yung sitwasyon mo. Ipakita mo sa akin yung screenshot ng medical certificate mo na naka-confine ka. Kaya pwede ka mag-send ng picture na hindi ka pwedeng makiusap sa akin ng personal. Na pwede mo akong daanin sa PM o sa tawag. Yun. Kasi nga, yun yung available at yun yung practical. Hindi practical yung babangon ka, naka-confine ka sa hospital tapos kakausapin mo ako, di ba? Kaya nga, it depends on, sabi ko nga, availability, practicality, and the impact on the receiver. Kasi nga, di ba, mas maganda sabihin yung mga bagay na personal, lalo na kung ikaw ay nakikiusap. But in certain cases where personal involvement may not be applied, siyempre, ipaliwanag mo. Bibigyan naman ng consideration yun. Okay? And then we have delivery. It refers to the manner in which information is being transferred to an individual or group. Okay, delivery can be in the process of, let's say, like in this case, lecture video. I cannot be with you right now because the internet is down in our area at the moment. That's why I opted to teach you through this lecture video. So kasi yun yung delivery na mas alam ko magiging effective kaysa naman mag-PM lang ako sa inyo at mag-send ng kung ano-ano. At least ito, may involvement pa rin. Okay, although one-sided, okay, with you and me. Alright? So, in oral communication, delivery could include the following. Number one, sinabi ko dyan, is good voice. Second is having eye contact. Third is articulation and emphasis. And last is intonation. Now, technically, among the four, lahat yan talaga ideal. But since hindi naman kayo English major, I would only suggest at least two important things out of these four na dapat masterin nyo at this level habang kayo ay nasa college. So, what are those things? Number one, okay, not really a good voice. Like, hindi naman kinakailangan pang DJ yung boses ninyo katulad nung sa teacher ninyo. Hindi. Okay? Hindi kinakailangan yung ganun. Ang good voice para sa akin, yung tinuro ko sa inyo, remember, you must possess a well-modulated voice. I repeat, a good speaker, okay, must possess a modulated voice. Diba? Ano ibig sabihin ng modulated voice? That is a kind of voice that can be heard in the entire room. Yung maririnig sa buong kwarto. Yan ang tinatawag na modulated voice. And then, pangalawa dyan ay yung number 2, eye contact. Yan. Importante na kapag nagsasalita ka, you have to observe this eye contact. This is how you connect with your audience. Yan yung importante sa communication. Hindi yung para ka nagsasalita sa kawalan. Importante yung nakikita mo, tinitingnan mo ng mata sa mata yung mga taong kausap mo. Yan dalawa lang na yan. At least ma-master ninyo, maging natural sa inyo when you are talking verbally in front of the class, when you are making reports or presentations, no? Like that, okay na kayo. You're good. Kasi yun yung dalawang principle na dapat taglay ng isang tao. Okay? As a good speaker must possess a modulated voice, yung tama yung volume, may tamang bearing. Kahit hindi kagandahan, gaganda rin yan in due time kapag nasanay ka na nagsasalita. When speaking becomes a habit about you, the voice, the good voice, the beautiful voice will come out naturally. Okay? It will take some time. But what's important is the ample, how you amplify your voice when it's needed on certain occasions, especially kapag nasa classroom ka. And most importantly, you connect with the audience through eye contact. Importante yan. Yung emphasis and articulation, in due time, maayos natin yan. Intonation, okay, mape-perfect nyo rin yan, mapapolish ninyo yan in due time. Pero yung dalawa, okay na ako doon. Okay, now, next one is yung receiver. Okay, we said that receivers are the ones who interpret, diba, and understand the message being received. And being a receiver, you must possess, like I said, good listening and comprehension skills. So magkaiba po yan ha. Listening skills is your ability to focus, your attention to the speaker. Yun ang listening skills. Pero more than the listening skills, ang kailangan nyo sa industry ay yung pangalawa, yung comprehension skills. Kasi baliwala kahit attentive kang nakikinig, tahimik kang nakikinig, pero pasok dito within walang nangyayari sa loob, or worse, pasok tapos labas dito, wala. No? So walang effect. Yung comprehension skills, guys, yan ang pinaka-importante sa industry. Dahil kapag nakita o naramdaman, naobserba ng mga nag-i-interview sa iyo na mahirap ka o nahihirapan kang umintindi. No, umintindi, let's say, ng instructions, ng questions, okay, may issue. So malamang yan yung mga dahilan kung bakit hindi natatanggap yung mga tao sa trabaho. Because if you have poor comprehension skills, pwede mong ipahamak ang kumpanya. Pag mahina mahina ang pang-intindi mo. Kaya yan ang importanteng skill na dapat nyong ma-improve habang nag-aaral kayo. That when you are interacting with people, you must know how to pay attention, you listen closely, and more than that, be able to discern, interpret, understand, and execute kung ano man yung sinasabi sa iyo, pinapagawa sa iyo. Okay? And then, that's all about our discussion on the communication process. I hope you have learned something about this. If you have any questions, okay, feel free na mag-comment kayo dyan sa GC natin. No? Any questions or clarification dapat yung ipaalam sa akin, okay, dyan kayo mag-comment. So I'll be more than happy to address and explain those concerns coming from you guys kung meron po akong tanong. Okay, so I'll catch you up with the next video. Okay, thank you for listening. Have a good day. Okay, stay safe everyone. Bye-bye.